This is Joseph Deangelo, a criminal who eluded law enforcement for 44 years. This is the story of how the Golden State Killer transformed from a troubled boy to an absolute monster. In the history of criminals, few names evoke as much terror and fascination as the Golden State Killer. He is responsible for at least 13 murders, 51 rapes, and 120 burglaries, making him one of the most accomplished and notorious criminals of all time. What compelled him to commit such abhorrent acts? The first step to understanding the mind of this monster is to take a peek into his childhood. Born on November 8, 1945 in Bath, New York, Joseph James Deangelo Jr. was raised in a household tainted by trauma. Witnessing the brutal rape of his sister, Connie, at the hands of two airmen in a West Germany warehouse, young Joseph's innocence was shattered prematurely. The scars of that event alone would likely be enough to send anyone down a dark path. But Joseph also suffered a difficult relationship with his family. Joseph's family consisted of his mother, Kathleen DeGroat, his father, Joseph Deangelo Sr., and his siblings Connie, Rebecca, and John. Reports surfaced of Joseph's older sister Rebecca claiming he suffered abuse at the hands of their father. These early experiences certainly had a profound effect on Joseph that contributed to the twisted path he would go down. Adolescence often reveals the first inklings of someone's future trajectory, and Joseph's teenage years were marked by troubling signs. It's said that he tortured and killed animals, as well as committed burglaries. These acts, seemingly disconnected from reality, hinted at a mind already veering towards violence. Joining the US Navy in September 1964 might have appeared as a chance for redemption, a fresh start. However, Joseph's 22 months of service during the Vietnam War as a damage controlman provided no solace. Instead, they might have only deepened the darkness within him. Post-military life ushered in an unsettling transition for Joseph. In August 1968, he enrolled at Sierra College in Rocklin, California. Despite his academic pursuits and eventual graduation with an associate degree in political science, the shadows of his past continued to haunt him. His engagement to nursing student Bonnie Jean Caldwell in May 1970 might have seemed like a glimmer of hope, a chance at normalcy. However, the relationship soured, revealing Joseph's manipulative and abusive tendencies. His attempt to force Bonnie to marry him at gunpoint marked a shocking escalation. Subsequent years showed Joseph's facade of normalcy crumble further. His pursuit of higher education led him to Sacramento State University in 1971, where he earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Intriguingly, he ventured into postgraduate courses and further police training at the College of the Sequoias in Visalia. He also entered a marriage with Sharon Marie Huddle in 1973, adding another layer of normalcy to the disguise he showed to the world. Joseph Deangelo's journey from a traumatized child to a disturbed young man was a precursor to the horrors he would unleash upon California. It started innocuously, with minor thefts and disturbances, but soon escalated into something far worse. The Visalia Ransacker, as he would come to be known, began infiltrating homes, leaving behind a sense of violation that gripped the community in fear. He also became a burglary unit officer in May 1973, gaining a slew of knowledge on how to catch burglars, as well as learning how to avoid being caught. He employed tactics such as leaving multiple points of escape open and placing warning items like bottles and dishes on top of door handles or in front of doors. This way, he would know if there was another presence in the home. He also wore gloves, leaving behind no fingerprints. It's possible that Joseph started his crime spree as early as May 1973, the same month he became a police officer, but his first recorded ransacking occurred on March 19, 1974. He stole $50 worth of coins from a piggy bank. It was clear that Joseph was obsessed with the new thrill he'd found. He ransacked an astounding 12 homes in just one day on November 30th, 1974. This was not even an uncommon occurrence, with him frequently ransacking several homes in a day. His alias known as the Visalia Ransacker lasted from 1974 to 1976, when he escalated his thrill once again. His reign of terror took a dark and violent turn, transcending mere burglaries. The transformation into the East Area Rapist marked a chilling escalation. Though he would go on to rape over 50 women, his first attempt was sloppy. He broke into the home of Claude Snelling on September 11, 1975. 7 months before this, Snelling was alerted to a prowler lurking under his daughter's window. He chased off the man, but that didn't keep him away forever. On this night, at 2 a.m., he woke up after hearing strange noises. He made his way to the back door, which was open. He ran through it, coming face to face with Joseph, who was wearing a ski mask. Joseph was attempting to kidnap Snelling's daughter, presumably hoping to claim her as his first rape victim. He shot Snelling twice and fled the scene. Snelling later died at the hospital, and Joseph had gotten his first taste of murder, sucking him even deeper into his twisted urges. What set the East Area Rapist, his newfound alias, apart from other criminals was not just the violence, but the meticulous and calculated methods he used. He would scout homes for days or weeks, prowling in yards and looking in windows. Once he found a target, he would sometimes wait until they left, then enter their homes to unlock windows, plant ligatures, and unload ammunition from guns, ensuring that when he carried out his attack, he would be successful. He would also call the homes multiple times in advance, learning everything he could about their daily routines. He had begun to gain notoriety in surrounding areas, spreading fear throughout Visalia. Police were working tirelessly to catch him. This provoked Joseph, compelling him to communicate with them. One of the chilling hallmarks of the Golden State Killer was his audacious taunting. Through cryptic phone calls and sinister poems, he teased investigators and struck fear into the hearts of those already on edge. On March 18, 1977, he called the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office 3 times. The first 2 calls didn't contain much, but the final call came in at 5 p.m., where he said, "I'm the East Area Rapist and I have my next victim already stalked and you guys can't catch me." That night, he raped a 16-year-old girl in Rancho Cordova, threatening her with an axe. He raped 12 victims over the next 9 months, when he made another call on December 2nd to the Sacramento Police Department. The call was recorded and released to the public.
Police Department staff speaking. You're not going to catch me, East Area Rapist, you dumb fuckers. I'm gonna fuck again tonight. Be careful.
As he warned, he did indeed strike again that night. This was perhaps the most active he ever was in his crime spree, with the next call just 7 days later. On December 9th, 1977, he tormented a previous victim by calling during the Christmas season and saying, "Merry Christmas. It's me again." 1 day later, he called Sacramento authorities saying, "I'm going to hit tonight, Watt Avenue." Law enforcement spotted him that night on the Watt Avenue bridge. They pursued him, but he managed to escape them. He was directly taunting police at this point. Also that month, someone sent a poem to the Sacramento Bee, claiming to be the East Area Rapist. The poem was titled "Excitement's Crave" and is shown here. Feel free to pause the video if you wish to read it in full. His next call came on January 2nd, 1978, and was sent to the first known rape victim. This call was also recorded.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Joseph was terrorizing Sacramento, even sinking as low as to torment his past victims, who have perhaps just started to move on. On January 6, 1978, Contact Counseling Services received a call from someone claiming to be the East Area Rapist. He said, "I have a problem. I need help because I don't want to do this anymore." And after a brief conversation, the caller said, "I believe you are tracing this call," and hung up. During a 1978 rape, the 37th attack, it is reported that Joseph said, "I hate you, Bonnie," the name of his first fiancée. In July 1979, things reached a new climax when Joseph was caught shoplifting a hammer and dog repellent. Because of this, he was sentenced to 6 months probation and fired that October. During the firing process, he threatened to kill the chief of police and stalked his house that night, shining his flashlight into the chief's daughter's bedroom. The chief chased him off, but the ongoing stress in Joseph's life had led him to escalate once again. On October 1st, he broke into a Goleta couple's home and tied them up. They overheard him say, "I'll kill him," and when he left the room, they tried escaping. The woman screamed, scaring off Joseph. This marks the first time Joseph deliberately attempted premeditated murder, and he wasn't done yet. Later that year, on December 30th, another Goleta couple was attacked, and this time they were found shot to death. This signified a new era of crimes not linked to the East Area Rapist. He was given a new moniker, which was Original Night Stalker. His typical MO as the East Area Rapist was to break into a couple's home and wake them before shining a flashlight into their eyes. He would then have the woman tie up the man before tying up the woman himself. He would stack dishes on the man's back so that if he moved, Joseph would hear. He threatened to kill everyone in the house if he heard the rattle. He would then take the woman into another room and rape her repeatedly. Meanwhile, in 1980, Joseph continued to put on a front, even buying a house with his wife Sharon in Citrus Heights. After several more murders, we arrive at the victims Sherry Domingo and Gregory Sanchez. It's theorized that he got in a physical altercation with Sanchez, who was 6'3". Joseph, who was only 5'10" and likely weaker, got scared from this fight. Though he won and killed the couple, he was getting older, weaker, and desperately did not want to be caught. This is likely what caused his crime spree to come to an end, until 1986, when Joseph came across 18-year-old Janelle Cruz. She was found raped and bludgeoned to death by none other than the Golden State Killer after 5 years of inactivity. He was never linked to any murders after this, making this his last official crime. It was mostly quiet after that, with only a few notable changes occurring. In 1991, Joseph and Sharon separated but stayed married legally. On April 6, 2001, one day after an article in the Sacramento Bee linked the original Night Stalker and the East Area Rapist, another victim received a call. Joseph asked, "Remember when we played?" Years turned into decades, and it seemed law enforcement was no closer to catching the Golden State Killer until June 15, 2016, when the FBI released more information about him, including new composite sketches and a $50,000 reward. In an attempt to spread awareness, he was also renamed to the Golden State Killer in 2013. Investigators have begun using genetic genealogy using a service called GED Match. They created 25 family trees. The one that included Joseph contained approximately 1,000 people. They used age, sex, place of residence, and other factors to rule out suspects until Joseph was the only remaining one. On April 18, 2018, a DNA sample was secretly taken from the door handle of Joseph's car. Another one from a tissue found in his curbside trash can. Both matched the Golden State Killer. They'd got him. He was arrested April 24, 2018, in the side yard of his home by the Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies. He was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder. About a month later, he was charged with an additional 4 counts. He made a confession of sorts after his arrest that referred to an inner personality named Jerry, who had forced him to commit these crimes. After being captured, members of the community looked back on their experiences with Joseph, noticing how he would casually bring up the East Area Rapist in conversation during the time they were committed. Not only that, but neighbors also noticed his short temper. One neighbor in particular received a call from Joseph threatening to deliver a load of death over their barking dog. He tried to perceive himself to the court as a feeble old man incapable of committing such atrocities, even being wheeled into the courtroom in a wheelchair. Yet he is seen moving around with ease in his jail cell. His time was up, and the facades he had tried to keep up all these years were finally falling apart. He couldn't be charged with rapes or burglaries because the statute of limitations had expired, but he was charged with 13 counts of murder and 13 counts of kidnapping. He was sentenced to 12 total consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole on June 29, 2020, 34 years after his last crime. After witnessing the victim impact statements, Joseph expressed remorse in a statement of his own.
I've listened to all your statements, each one of them, and I'm truly sorry to everyone I've hurt.
There's no way for us to know if he truly meant what he said. His wife and children never suspected he was committing these heinous crimes. His oldest daughter even referred to him as the perfect father, but thankfully he will never see the outside of prison again.